What's wrong with these people? If I had a dime for every time they called me and asked for shoe advice, I would... Wait a second, I just had a vision. Hey, I think I know a way that we can make a fortune. You want to hear about it?
No.
Let's rock.
Thanks, Dad.
Can I get a whoopin'?
Whoa, Bundy!
No Man presents, live from the nudie bar, the Married with Children podcast. And here are your hosts, Dan, Jamie, and Al. What's up, guys? It's the Married with Children podcast. Let's cut the crap and get right to it. My name is Al. And we don't like to get political here, but I'm just going to say it. I voted for Peeman.
I'm Jamie, and I have a party to go to in 5 minutes. My shoes are tight on both feet. I don't know what to do.
And I'm Dan Chase. You want somebody dead? I'll kill him.
That's right, guys. We are doing 976 shoe tonight, whatever. Is it nighttime in the nudie bar?
Otherwise, we get the ugly strippers.
Yeah, we get the third string.
Yeah, you don't want lunchtime strippers, guys. So we show up at night and do this.
Never eat at a strip club buffet.
Can you imagine that? It's funny because there's a strip club on the way to my house, and it said Easter party. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like an advertisement. Let's go there for Easter. Like, why would I want anything to do with Easter there? It's like the most...
It's like, why would you use that to relate it to religion in any way?
Yeah, the girls climb down off the pole.
Yeah. I wonder what kind of Easter egg hunt they have.
Yeah, do they come out different colors? Oh, I'm sorry. That's...
Better make sure those are hard-boiled. That's all I'm saying. So this is 976 Shoe. We are reviewing Season 4, Episode 8, original air date November 12th, 1989. Director Jerry Cohen. Writers Sandy Sprung and Marcy Vosberg. I like these chicks. They always, they know what they're doing on this show, I'll tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
We've said their names at all the best episodes, so this is no exception, guys. Al borrows a big loan from Steve's bank to launch his own shoe hotline. So, this episode starts off with a monumental moment. And Dan, it's almost, once again, meant to be that you are here.
Okay.
The opening scene stars the legendary Dan Tullis Jr. With Peg Bundy. And this is his very first out of 23 appearances on Married with Children. Now, it's interesting with how this happens, because the way Officer Dan has different names on Married with Children. I mean, it's all the same thing. It's, sheriff, policeman, FBI agent, stuff like that. It's basically the same stuff, Yeah. In this one, he's sheriff. In the next, in one of the future episodes, at the zoo, he's Sonny. That's the only really weird one. And then by Rock and Roll Girl, he's Officer Dan. But then after that, the Weenie Tots episode, he's Policeman. And then after that, the Egg and I, where Steve returns, he's FBI man again. And then he's Policeman for 3 times. And after that, it's all Officer Dan.
That's great.
So,
and I think that you can get away with stuff like that in a sitcom. It's almost like you're allowed to, like have people come back as different characters and stuff like that. It's like whatever. You see that on like dramatic shows and you're like, wait a minute, like, like serious shows, and it just doesn't quite add up. Like even look at the new Roseanne that we were talking about there, and it's like, a girl coming back as a different character. That totally threw me off, to be honest with you. And Roseanne's a sitcom, obviously, but like you can get away with stuff like that in sitcoms. I think it's fun. It's cool.
Yeah, I love that Becky too came back as like the surrogate mother or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh,
come on. I really don't spend that much. Can I keep just one of my credit cards? I'll make you a sandwich.
No, thank you, ma'am. I had a couple of donuts this morning waiting for a jumper to make up his mind. Cards, please.
Okay, fine. But you ought to be ashamed. You really don't have anything better to do than harass me when there are real criminals out there. I mean, my husband alone has over 100 unpaid parking tickets.
That's Al Bundy, right?
Uh-huh. Don't tell him that I told you. Is there any reward for turning him in?
I love his expression, and that when she turns her husband in and asks if there's a reward.
This is a reward.
The look on his face is classic.
He just never fails. I love that guy. Like, I remember he did 2 episodes of Howard Stern's Son of the Beach, and then after that he did The District, and then he seems to have retired in 2003. So some trivia about him is that he won $15,000 in a TV game show, The New Tic-Tac-Dough, in 1985. Yeah, and then he went on Family Feud with his family in 1976, and they won $6,000 there.
What?
Wow.
That's crazy.
I've always wanted to go on Family Feud.
Okay, well, yeah, so that's a legendary Officer Dan, and it's really amazing timing that you're on here, man. It's kind of weird that way.
That was funny too. Hey, Jamie, you're right about that reaction. I was like, it's funny because I'm always, every episode, you're waiting for that first joke, like that first thing to really like
kick off the show.
Yeah, and that look was it for me. But that scene too, man, it's funny because I was thinking about just everybody on this show. It's not just the Bundys, but it's one thing to sell Al out or one of her family members out if she's backed into a corner.
Yeah, she's not even.
She's not even. She's going out of her way to try and get money.
Like, why is a sheriff at your house to collect your credit cards? Like, are they stolen or something? Like, what is it?
Right. That I didn't understand at all.
You know, that cracks me up because they always do that thing in TV shows where somebody will try to use their credit card at a store and the clerk will cut up the credit card.
Right.
And I was so disappointed when I first started working in retail. My very first job was in retail. And, well, not my very first, but one of my first jobs was in retail. I was working in a clothing store. And I said, so do we get to cut up credit cards if they, you know, are over the limit? And they're like, no, you don't ever do that. And I was like, aw, like I thought that was a thing.
When you asked that, did they give you the Officer Dan look?
No, they just laughed at me because I don't think they thought I was serious. But I mean, growing up, I had seen that on every show.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I thought it was a thing.
Well, wait till Al Bundy comes in one day and he shows his credit card, he blows it, and it's confetti in his hands. Like, yeah, this show would make you think that's what you do, because even Al says later on, I pulled out the credit card, they pulled out their switchblade. Like, yeah. It's so great. And I thought, logistically, why would they do that? Like, if they say, no, sorry, your card's been rejected, just hand it back to you. Like, who would have the balls to take your credit card and cut it up? For what reason?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, usually you can't make the purchase if something's wrong. I guess the only time it came into play was Al already got the gas, you know, so.
Right.
Well, I mean, back in the day, I guess it kind of makes sense because back in the day, before we had, like, the digital readers, you know, before it was automatic and instant,
right.
You know, you had to use the slide machine.
Right.
Which we actually had to use at the store that I was working in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then it kind of makes sense because the clerk doesn't know if you have room on the credit card or not. So they just run it through. There's no way for them to tell.
Oh, that's right. So people could make purchases and then leave the store.
Yeah. I mean, so they could run up their cards really high and no one would know the difference.
Oh, man, I wish it was 1989 again.
Even if that did play out that way, though, like, would you have the cojones to do it right in front of the person? Like, at least do it in the back and be like, sorry, we had to destroy it.
Sorry, your card fell on the floor and broke.
I guess if that was the way things were done, then yeah, I'd do it. Like, oops, no. No, today, sometimes our technology is a pain in the butt. Like, sometimes I have a hard time chasing a check today. You know how, like, there used to be, you know, you could write a check and be like, okay, I've got like 3 days to get to the bank and get it. Like, and now you can't do that anymore because everything's automatic. So, like, man, they're making it really hard for those of us who try to screw the system.
Jamie, it's so funny that you say that because I do exactly that. I used to hold on to checks for so long, like just because of stuff like that. Like even if I'm like, oh, if I do this, I'll at least have like a day. Now it's like pretty much just like the credit card, you know, more or less.
It's Instamatic.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, just don't fill up on donuts while you're waiting to see if the check goes through. He's waiting for a jumper to make up his mind. Like I love that whole. We could care less anymore. We're all jaded to this. So, the guy was making up his mind. We had a couple donuts. Like, can you imagine, like, the police officer talking to the guy at the megaphone, and then as he stops talking, he takes a bite out of a donut? That's just so weird. So, yeah, Peg sells Al out, tells Officer Dan, which we'll call him because we know who he is, even though they don't know now, that Al is 100 unpaid parking tickets. Like, where is Al parking to get tickets every single day? You would think after like the 6th one, he'd be like, all right, let me just park where you're supposed to. But no.
How have they not booted him yet?
Mom, was there ever a time when Dad could have made something of his life?
Yes. Actually, back before you were born, I remember we were watching TV, and he said, I wish there was some way to change the channel from my seat. That was as close as he ever came.
Still not a bad idea.
It's better than his other idea that he has.
Oh, shoe lights? Yeah, just stay away from the coin fountain.
Yeah.
Al always has great lines. Like, when you guys started doing this podcast, Al's opening line was, home sweet hell.
Yeah.
And here...
Hi, honey. How was your day?
Hey, I came home. How good could it have been?
That's so great.
Ed McMahon says I may owe him $10 million?
What are the chances of it really being you?
If anybody doesn't know what that is, because I don't think it even exists anymore, that was a thing.
Publisher Clearinghouse is still around.
Clearinghouse is still around?
Yeah. Ed McMahon is not.
Right, yeah. Well,
he's not on The Price is Right anymore?
That was Bob Barker.
I know.
Well, Ed McMahon was the American Family Publishers guy that sold subscriptions. It started in 1977. It's best known for running a sweepstakes in which someone was offered a large sum of money, like in the range of a couple $100,000 or $1 million, and the winner was chosen at random by an auditing company. And you could win whether or not you even subscribed to the magazine, which is weird. So that's what I don't even know like what they got out of doing that or anything, but
because a lot of people would buy subscriptions thinking it increased their chances of winning.
Right.
Yeah.
Ah, the phone bill. Hey, we qualify for the gold bill. Peg, could you cut out the festivities till after I'm dead? Milwaukee. That's the town they built around your mother, isn't it, Peg? Look at all these toll calls. Who called the Lust line?
It's not what you think, Dad. It's just naked girls talking dirty to me on the phone.
Oh, well, that's okay then.
He could care less. I love Bud too. He had no shame in his game whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like he didn't try and hide that at all.
And how about Bud's reaction when Al approves of it? He just like sits back in his chair, like all happy, smiling.
Right.
He's like, all right, man.
What about these 3 pages of toll calls to the heavy metal hotline?
And then a call to the heavy metal hotline. I can see Jamie doing this.
I actually used to. I used to call Dave Mustaine every day. And now it didn't cost money. It was a toll-free call, and anyway, it was basically like an update. Like if they're going to be touring or whatever. And sometimes it was just like a thought of the day or whatever. I don't know. Really? I don't remember what it was actually called, but
so it was like a tape record. He would record a new thing every day.
Like, yeah, it would be like a message. And
man, I won't even post on Facebook every day. That's a lot of effort.
Now, Jamie, was this post Metallica?
Yeah, this was actually just a few years ago.
What?
And I mean, it was probably about. I'm not kidding. It was probably about 4 or 5 years. About 5 years ago.
Why would you have to do that? Like, why couldn't you go to the website and see an updated blog?
Because it was a thing that they had. So.
No, I'm not blaming you. I'm saying, why do they do this? Why are they?
Oh yeah, I don't know. I think maybe for kitschy appeal. I don't know, but.
Wow. Hi, this is Dave Mustaine.
I did that. It was fun, it was kind of fun and cool. And I didn't necessarily use the information. Never seen Megadeth in concert.
Yeah.
But it
well
was
worth
just
the time.
It was a fun thing to do.
So, Kelly calls the well, I guess if it's free, Jamie, then you never got to use Kelly's genius idea.
Oh, then that must have been me, Dad. But I was saving you money.
How did you do that, Pumpkin?
Well, because they said that it's $3 for the first minute and 50 cents for each additional minute. So rather than get charged extra, I'd hang up after a minute and then call back.
Well, at least she's trying, Al.
Oh, God.
She's so smart.
She really is. And that has to be one of the most iconic scenes of Kelly ever. Like that.
I love the right before that. And this is a very simple thing, but it cracked me up when he's like, oh, heavy metal hotline. And then he looks at Bud. Bud looks at her. She looks behind her.
Oh, then it must be me.
And that's so, I mean, people use that in TV all the time, that, I'm going to keep looking and passing the buck.
Right. And then when you realize there's no one left, you're like,
no one there. It's you. Right. But for some reason, that just tickled me. I thought it was great.
Oh, hey, Dad. Mrs. Donnelly called, and she said her slipper won't fit over her bunion, and she wants to know what she should do.
Start walking on all fours the way God intended her to. What's wrong with these people? If I had a dime, for every time they called me and asked for shoe advice, I would...
Why would a woman who bought a shoe know how to call Al?
Especially because he's a women's shoe salesman and all the women hate him. Like, why would they be calling him? I mean, I get it. And it was a great joke. I laughed because I didn't see that coming. I'm so I'm so invested and so ready for the digs at each other that when Bud comes in and he just throws out one just like out of left field like that, man, I thought that was great. Yeah, that was a good one.
Have you ever had a need for shoe advice?
Never.
No, I just buy new ones.
I mean, yeah, if I have a problem, if I can't fix it, then I just buy new shoes. I've never thought, I wish there was someone that I could talk to about my shoe problems.
Right. No one else ever thought it either, apparently.
Because
Al just holds his hands over those phones, and that's about it. But unless the doorbell rings. So one time I was driving past a shoe repair place, and I mocked it, of course. And the person with me says, "No, man, that's a legit thing, man." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, who ever got a shoe repaired? Like, for real? Like, in the last, 100 years?" He goes, "No, man. The people who go there are the people who spent like $2,000 on their shoes."
Right. Yeah, they have a pair of Ferragamos that they want to. I mean, I have actually gotten a pair of boots. I have a pair of boots that I love, and I've taken them in to get them repaired. And it's because they were really nice boots, and I didn't want to lose them because I loved them. So I get that.
Yeah, and you're not going to spend that again. So That's the thing. Like if we're buying shoes at Payless or whatever, or your girl or your wife or you, Jamie, then you're not really gonna like go to a shoe repair place because it probably won't even be worth it. They'll probably charge you more than your shoe costs.
Right. That's what I always thought.
Yeah. So the people who do go are the ones who buy really expensive shoes. So that's how those guys even stay in business too. Because if they charge somebody, $175 and they paid, $1,200 for those shoes, they're going to give you the $175.
Hey, Marcy, guess what? I'm closing another loan, and that puts me in the lead for that free trip to Hawaii. Yeah, the Hick's signing the papers right now. Not you. I was talking about some other Hick. Listen, Mars, the Hick is staring at me. I gotta go. Keep the poi warm for Daddy.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Your loan saved our farm.
Well, we only care about you.
Well, you really have to come for supper one night.
Yeah, right. Watch for me in the window.
That Hick is a real actor. So the farmer is R. Leo Schreiber, and he was not very big of an actor, but he was in Jake and the Fat Man. He was in Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, and Freddy's Nightmares. Once again, we have an alumni.
Wow. That seems a random assortment.
But at the same time, that's about right. Like, if you're on Dr. Quinn, chances are you're going to be on Freddy's Nightmares as well.
Yeah, you're knocking on doors at that point.
I'm in the lead. I'm in the lead. I'm going to Hawaii.
Hey, Steve, I'm glad I caught you. I need a loan. See, I'm going to buy my own toll line. Yeah, it'll be great. People will pay $2 a pop just to talk to me. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's just another sex line, but it isn't. This is something that I know something about. Ready? 555 shoe.
Al, no banker in his right mind would give you 5 cents for such a moronic, bunny-brained idea.
Aloha, Rhodes.
So this guy Swenson, who almost went to Hawaii, he was just in 2 other shows, Switched at Birth and Mr. Belvedere.
Again with the Mr. Belvedere.
Yep. Yep, we can't escape him. He does not have a outstanding career at all, and that's about all he did. And he didn't even get to go to Hawaii, the loser. So he has absolutely nothing going for himself.
Tiny bubbles up his nose.
Then again, he probably did go to Hawaii when all is said and done, but we'll get there. So Swenson comes in. He raises his bar of his chances of going to Hawaii with his newest loan.
Al, you got your loan. You need $50,000, you say?
Well, actually, I only need 18.
No, you need 50. Sign right here. We'll fill in the rest later.
Now, Dan, if you were going to have a hotline, what would yours be about? What would you say you know the most about?
Free legal advice?
Now, listen, guys, this is what happened to me. All right? I didn't know any better, but if I just blah, blah, blah.
You should get a number like Dave Mustaine. I'd call you every day.
I know, right?
We should open up a hotline for this show.
That's what I'm saying.
I would do a horror hotline.
Yeah?
Yeah. Why not?
What, do you like horror movies or something?
Yeah, you're into that too?
A little.
Weirdo. You like butchers and horror movies?
Bakers and candlestick makers.
And shoemakers.
Now, here's the interesting thing. So Al says it's going to be 555 shoe. That's already strange because this episode is called 976 shoe.
Well, they couldn't actually let him use 976 shoe in case someone out there wanted to use that number.
Right.
I mean, it'd be a real phone number if they did. So they had to do the 555 thing. Although I don't know why they didn't call the episode 555 shoe.
Right.
Except at the time that it was a cultural reference because of 976, which was everywhere.
Well, I thought it was 976 Evil, which was made
It
in
was.
88, right? I thought.
Well, you know what? That's true, and that was a.
That's what I thought it was going to be. I was like, oh, wow. I was like, that's a clear horror movie reference. And then it had nothing to do with it. And I was like, huh. And then, like you said, when they added in the 555, then I got really confused.
This episode, the meaning of it is the movie 976 Evil, and the Bundy's house number is 9764 also. The 555 thing, most telephone companies started encouraging producers of TV shows and movies to use the 555 prefix for fictional phone numbers by the 60s. Like, one of the earliest examples of this is the movie The Second Time Around from 1961. So that's when that all started, and that became like they really pointed that out in the movie Last Action Hero, when Arnold Schwarzenegger got the phone number from the girl, and the kid's like, look, they're all going to be 555. Don't you see? You're in a movie. And he's like, how could every number, how many people live in LA, and how many combinations can you have? He goes, that's why they have area codes. so like,
I love that movie.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. So.
Tiny bubbles up your nose, Swenson.
I want to talk to you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Peeman. Right away, sir. Get lost, Al. It's the president.
I voted for you.
What did you want to see me about, sir?
Rhodes, do you know how many loans you've written this year that have gone bad?
1 or 2?
40.
Well, I guess that gives me something to think about while I'm on that beach in Hawaii.
I hope your zeal to win this trip hasn't affected your judgment. For example, let's talk about the loan that put you over the top.
Yes, sir. The Bundy loan, solid as they come.
You really believe in the loan?
With my heart and soul, sir.
Would you put your job on the line for it?
No, sir.
Then I will. If this Bundy doesn't come through, you're fired.
Al only needs $18,000 to start this phone company, phone hotline, and Steve forces $50,000 upon him because that's what will get him to Hawaii. Like, he does no checks, nothing, no cross. Nothing officially is done. He stamps Al's paper. Al hardly even signs it. Like, he doesn't even appear to sign this paper. If he did it with his left hand, which goes in relation to when Al built the bathroom, and he wrote something with his left hand somewhere else because somebody said he's lefty or righty or whatever. He does two different things, so whatever. But if he signed this paper, it was his left hand, because I was looking to see if he even signs this, because I'm thinking, like, if Steve's job is on the line, then why not just, like, cancel the whole thing? Say, forget it. The deal fell through, Mr. Peeman. The guy didn't want it, so I'm going to put my thing back down and wait for another one. But instead, he acts like he has to keep going through with this when Al's not good for it.
Yeah.
The president of the bank comes over, and Al shook his hand and tells him he voted for him. Because he doesn't realize that the actual president wouldn't show up. I mean, he doesn't. Who is the president at this time?
At that time, it was George Sr.
And Al doesn't know this? Like, Mr. Peeman could walk up and you're like, oh, well, I guess that's our president.
I feel like he wouldn't know, though.
Yeah, right? He's so not into it.
But he voted for him, so now we know who Al voted for.
Right.
Is Peeman Republican or Democrat? Anybody know?
Peeman, I have no idea. But
So now Peeman tells Steve that this year alone he wrote 40 bad loans, which obviously means that he wrote a loan and the people couldn't pay it back.
Which is crazy. Like, I don't know how that works, but I'm sorry, but, like, you'd be fired.
Yeah, like, if everybody borrowed, like, $20,000, $30,000, and 40 of them didn't pay it back, I mean, that's a lot of money that the bank's not getting back.
And I was
where
also...
is Steve working? Because I need to go there.
Yeah, right? You just don't pay him back.
And are these just business loans or straight up loans? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, but 40 bad in a year. So how about that pretty dramatic scene. You know, he says, if this doesn't come through, you're fired. And Steve has that concerned look on his face, and the guy just walks away. And it's like one of the first times like an act break came without laughter or applause or a joke line or anything.
Yeah.
You know, like a serious moment for an ad break.
It's dire.
It's great because it gives it more weight. Like, you actually take something seriously for a second.
I totally agree.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shoe. Man on the side of your feet.
I'm a goner.
Excuse me, I'm getting a call. Dr. Shoe, hello?
Oh, Dr. Shoe, I don't know what to do. I'm going to a party in 5 minutes, and my shoes are too tight for both of my feet. Ouch. Can you help me?
Probably the worst actress ever. We always let everybody know if a chick was naked on our show, and we're not stopping now. So if you want to see her naked, look up Carrie Cannell Whitman, because it's different on IMDb. It says Carrie Whitman, but if for some reason, sometimes she's just known as Carrie Cannell. Like, I think that's like her like stage name or whatever. So it looks like she was in Playboy and stuff like that. So if you look that up, you can see Muffy naked. She was in Beverly Hills Cop 2, Men at Work, and Silk Stockings, and she retired, it appears, in 2004 from acting. Otherwise, they just stopped hiring her. So, yeah. And, oh, yeah.
She was on Baywatch, Live in Color. She was in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, in Live in Color. And by the way, Mr. Peeman, the bank president, has 55 acting credits, and he seems to be most known for his work in Star Trek TV. So, yeah, Muffy's acting is outrageous.
Has this happened to you? I'm willing to bet that it has. As a matter of fact, I'm betting $50,000 that it has. So, if you're like Muffy here, or even if you're just fat and ugly and have a shoe problem, call me on the shoe line. That's 555-SHOE. Can I help? Shoe betcha.
I feel better already.
And then Al just saying, if you look like Muffy here, or if you're just fat and ugly and have a shoe problem. Like, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
So ruthless. I wonder why it didn't work.
And what's with the creepy, wide-eyed, like, stare that Al does into the camera?
Yeah, that was weird, right? See, I couldn't tell if he was trying to, like, play one of those creepy salesmen, because, like, they're not even that creepy. I thought Al was, like, way over the top creepy. That was weird. That threw me off. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, what's he doing?
It's very weird. Al goes into, like, a different mode when he does these commercials. Like, does he think this is what he's been watching on TV all these years or something?
Right. Yeah, I didn't.
Even if his idea was a good one, would you call that guy?
No, his execution was horrible. Like, I don't even care if you get a hot chick. You get Muffy there who can't act, you're toast. You're dead in the water.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm just going to wait for the next shoe hotline guy. Let's hope somebody jumps on this idea.
Yeah.
Honey, let's just say that for 1 minute, this shoe line doesn't work out. Not that I'm being negative, mind you. It's just that no one has called today, and no one will call for 1,000,000 years.
Steve, once he realizes that his job's on the line, he basically is glued to the Bundy's couch during this whole fiasco. And, like, the whole first day of the phone calls with no calls coming in, Al holding his hand, hovering over the phone, like, as if whoever's calling can't wait 5 seconds for Al to reach over and pick up the phone. He has to stay right on. So Steve's comatose on the couch by the time it's nighttime and nobody's called.
Dr. Shoe?
It's the doorbell, Al.
Well, get it, Peg. I'm on the phone. Dr. Shoe?
The government should be paying us. I mean, if he's not disabled, who is?
Well, Steve, you told me not to yell at you about the loan until midnight. Then I'd see. What am I seeing?
Hello? 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 Hello?
Well, Steve?
He hasn't spoken for hours, Marcy.
Don't you pull that coma stuff with me, Stephen. You loaned this man $50,000. That's $1,000 an IQ point. And I can't blame Al. A man gives a gun to a chimp and the chimp shoots someone. You don't blame the chimp.
Hey! That was a hidden dig at me, wasn't it?
Yeah, his face reaction though, as he's processing this.
He has two dumb moments between that and the president one. In this one, he may have more dumb moments than Kelly.
In this one, maybe.
Except
for nobody could top Kelly's Hotline.
That's true.
And Marcy's hair, like, wow, once again.
Oh, I know. Yeah, she was great, though, in this episode when she came in. Man, I thought that whole interaction with everything, and I don't know, man, I think they just nailed it. Like, it's so cool to see how, like, you can overdo something, right? Like, because you could totally overuse that couple, but I think that they're used just right, you know?
How many calls did you get tonight, Al?
Dr. Shu's files are confidential.
None. You got none.
None today. Tomorrow, twice as many.
This is what you loan money to?
I wanted to go to Hawaii.
Well, Steve, I guess much like our honeymoon, it's up to me to finish the job and pay the bill. Al, I'm going to loan you $50,000.
We're rich! We're rich, honey!
I told you I could do it better!
Shut up! It's so you can repay the loan, and the human dribble glass here can keep his job. I've got a good record at my bank. I can bury one bad loan. Al, I'll be over in the morning with the paperwork.
Yeah, she got some
I
good
think
ones,
it's
though.
interesting that she says she has a great record at her bank and she can bury one bad loan.
Yeah.
Apparently not.
She's going to get demoted, apparently, but yeah. I think the reason that happened is because in court, when the whole story came out, I think that's why she was demoted. Not because it was a bad loan, but how she went about it. Like, you did it just to cover this, you know? It's a whole bunch of stuff you should not be doing, basically. So
that makes sense.
She's lucky to have a job. You don't give out a loan to cover another loan knowing that yours is, you know.
Right.
So, no calls all night, and he's going to get twice as many tomorrow. Now, Dan, what is 2 times 0?
I don't know. Don't ask me. But, so that's 3 dumb moments then. We should be taking a little tally here. I think he might be at least neck and neck with Kelly.
Yeah? Wow.
It always makes me sad when Al does dumb things.
Right.
I always feel bad for him. Like, I always want him to be the smart one. A lot of times he is, you know, and most of the time, I mean, and he just gets dumped on by his family's stupidity. So that's why it always makes me sad when he, like with the phone bill thing, you know, when she's like, you know what I did, Daddy? And he's just like, ugh, you know, like, what am I dealing with here, you know? So it makes me sad when he does stupid things.
You always feel like he's always at the end of his rope. Like, it always feels like this could be the end for the Bundys. Like, any stupid situation that they get in could potentially cripple them. And that's why I feel like a Married with Children revival right now would be 10 times. Can you imagine Al just, like, years later, just completely freaking hammered down by life?
Where he'd be by now? Oh.
Where he would be right now. That's what I'm saying. Because even then, he was just done. He was fed up. He was at the end of his rope.
Yeah, in his early 40s.
Right. So now I think it would just be perfect. Like, oh, it just never ends.
Still be paying off that loan.
He still would be. I know. Right.
Can you imagine if they referenced all the things that like still go on from these days into the new revival?
It wouldn't be that hard, man. Be cool.
They just would have to consult with you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, there's a guy who puts way too much thought into this. And he drags other people on shows with him. Peg's reaction is priceless when she says, I'm gonna lend you $50,000. She's like, we're rich! We're rich! And she's jumping up and down. That is just so funny, because you just know Peg is just an empty, blank head as well, you know? It's like...
And she's not taking into consideration that he's got to pay that back. She's just like, money.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't explain it right away. I think that's why. That I'll give Peg that pass.
Yeah.
She's like, Al, I'm going to lend you $50,000. Oh, my God. And he goes, no, it's to pay Steve back.
Well, I think that if you had two brain cells to rub together, you would know why she was loaning him $50,000.
Oh, you think she has
without
to?
an explanation? No, probably not. But what I want to know, because he decides then he's going to put it back into the business.
Yeah.
What the hell would cost him $100,000
right.
with this shoe line?
All those phone lines.
Oh, yeah. At this point, he only recorded one commercial, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Also, too, when he was recording them, it was clearly in like a public access place because the guy told him to wrap it up during the second go round. He told him to wrap it up, so clearly he's renting space, for, I would assume, for a cheap price or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they did make it look like a doctor's office, but I mean, how expensive was that?
Right.
Well, and he did have an actor.
Let's go, Steve. Come home and service me. And God help you if you screw that
up. This is your fault. You should have to go.
You should have to go.
Yeah, this is your fault. Can you imagine Al has to go serve Marcy?
Do you remember the days when Marcy and Steve were all over each other?
Yeah.
You know, and it was like their sex life was this big deal, and now Steve is basically right there with Al.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
It's sad to see because Steve's days are numbered here, and it's weird because you could almost see it all come to an end. Although there was no official goodbye show with him or anything like that, it's still like all the signs of this completely not working out and the reason that he will eventually leave, it all is like culminating as the final weeks go by.
But the thing though with Marcy is though it's like, who would hold this thing together? Like he ain't gonna do it. Like, so if she didn't step in and do the loan thing, and just like what was it, an episode or two ago where she was really trying to help Al too. I feel like as much as she hates him, it's like Marcy's kind of the glue sometimes. Like even though like they battle and stuff like that, she's kind of the only sane one, or at least the most intelligent one, because Steve's brain dead. You know what I mean? So at least she's there to kind of bring it back, so to speak, because everybody's out to lunch, on this show.
Well, Steve is smart, but he's easily influenced by Al, so he makes dumb decisions.
Right.
I think he's only book smart,
Right. Correct.
I think that's the whole dynamic of Al and Peg versus Steve and Marcy, that Steve and Marcy are book smart and Al and Peg are street smart.
I don't know if they're all that street smart. I mean, we assume that there are two different smarts. Either you're street smart or you're book smart. But apparently, the opposite of book smart isn't necessarily street smart. Because while they are in certain ways, there are a lot of ways when, particularly Peg, doesn't have a clue.
Yeah, she's more clueless than anything, yeah. Okay, you're right. Scratch that. So Al owes $50,000 to another bank now with no hope due to this failing idea. Peg won't leave Al, so he truly has nothing. Al decides, why go into the gutter owing $50,000 when you could owe $100,000? Because now the logic behind this is sort of sound. It's like, well, I'll never be able to pay off the $50,000 because this phone thing. Even Al realizes it's not working, and he will eventually try to recharge it and maybe think that might get it going. But right now he realizes it's not working, and I'll never get enough phone calls to pay the bank back.
Right.
The logic being, well, why just owe 50 and be in the gutter anyway when I can go in owing 100, but still have a shot to get this thing going with the extra 50.
Mm-hmm.
So it does make sense, but you have to have a kind of life where you have nothing to lose here. Like, you're willing to lose everything and go to jail and lose your house and just... That's the only difference, but it sort of does make logical sense.
It does. No, it definitely does. And I know people that are gamblers that go by this logic, and they're all broke.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it never works.
So Al starts filming more commercials. And by the way, just some show trivia of our show here. In the first 8 episodes or so, I played all of these Dr. Shu.
That's what all the extra money went for.
The PhD?
He had to get his doctorate, yeah.
These Dr. Shu commercials, I played them as commercial breaks when we started this. And I was going to try to, find Bundy commercial type things and whatever and keep playing them in between our breaks and stuff, and I quickly realized, look, there's not that many to go 260 episodes and I'm not going to be searching my whole life for these things. I don't know how I'm going to find all these. So I stopped doing that, and I do regret playing these commercials because I played them during the first 8 reviews that we did, which was season 1, and as you guys know, Al was nothing like he is in season 4 back in season 1.
Right.
So it was just very jarring to hear the stern, sensible, serious kind of Al from season 1 who just was sarcastic to this complete goofy, whatever hey kids, with a creepy wave and smile. That guy just didn't exist in season 1. So it just didn't play the right way. And it's just so, it's not a major thing, but I do regret playing it.
So what you're saying is we don't have him for this episode?
Oh, no, we do. So you guys have to hear him again now. So here's one now.
I'm Dr. Shu. A while back, I advertised my shoe line, but apparently you weren't watching. So I'm back. Now, you can't tell me you haven't bought defective shoes, because I know. I sell them. So call 555-SHOE. Even if you don't have a problem and you just want to talk about feet, call. I'm serious. This is not a recorded message. I am a human being, damn it. That number is 555-SHOE. Let's go.
Sadly for me, the commercials are what are the low point of this episode for me.
Huh.
I think the first one's funny, but the ones that he comes back and does, in the second round, I just don't think are funny.
Wow.
I really don't. And I was, through each one, I was like, God, I really was hoping for some better writing. I mean, it's just me, but
I would agree with that.
I just don't personally think they're all that funny. I think they're kind of a wasted opportunity.
Hi, Dr. Shu again. I've been telling you about my shoe line, nobody cares. So let me mention something else here. 555-SHOE also spells 555-RIND, 555-PIMP, and 555-RIGNY. Remember, nobody knows as much about Rigney as Dr. Rigney. Hello, it's Dr. Shu again. I've made several pleas and nobody cares, so let's cut the crap and get to it. I want to introduce you to some people. This is Mrs. Shu. My daughter, Kelly Shu. My son, Bud Shu. And Buck, the shoe dog. Stephen, could you please call? You don't have to talk to me. Just hang up. It's charity, for God's sake. Kids, you don't even need your parents' permission. It'll just be our little secret.
Well, what about when he's like, hey, kids, you don't need your parents' permission?
No, that's funny because every one of those commercials always ended with, make sure you get your parents' permission.
Right. And then he says, you want somebody dead? I'll kill him. Like that. Like there were some good lines in there for sure. He was so desperate.
I like that, he drags the family on there and, they're hiding their faces.
Their faces.
Yeah.
They're so ashamed.
And it's funny because after the first new commercial, after Marcy gives the $50,000, the next they flip the screen and you see Al with his hands over the phones again, and everyone's behind him, including Marcy. But she doesn't seem upset; she's just standing there. So, did he not? I guess she didn't give him that money yet, or he didn't use that for these. He still is using the first $50,000.
Right.
No one's flipping out, and then he has another commercial. And then they flip again, and she's still standing there, just looking at them like, is this for real? So Marcy doesn't flip out for the first two commercials after she gives him supposedly that money. So I guess it's only on that last one when they show the family where that's where her money should have been back at Steve, I guess. So now, Jamie, you didn't think it was funny that now 555 Rind, 555 Pinf, and 555 Rigney.
So stupid.
Yeah, I mean, that was cute. Nobody knows more about Rigney than me. than Dr. Rigney. Yeah, that I didn't like. I didn't like I don't know.
Dr. Rigney, yeah, he went a little too far with it, yeah.
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 But it's funny, the logic of Al, why would 555 shoe spelling another thing make anyone want to call it?
It's so stupid. That's what's funny about it. It doesn't make any sense.
Somebody out there who doesn't have a shoe problem but needs to know more about Rigney.
Or Pinf.
Or Pinf.
Yeah, he was ready to offer advice on any subject.
I was about to call the one, but I realized it was Pinf and not Pimp. I thought I was going to learn something else. Then I checked the spelling.
Did you ever call those 800 numbers, Alex?
I'm sure. I do have some vague memory, but I have no idea what it was.
You know what I recall about it?
What?
Is first of all, like, you'd never get away with it because it's on your home phone bill, first of all. But you just get to it and somebody would say, hello, and then I'd just hang up.
There was a...
no wonder why I'm still single.
Summer between, I want to say it was between 9th and 10th grade. I used to stay up late at night watching TV. And there was this one commercial that I would see for this line every single night. I mean, like multiple times every single night because I would watch the same channel.
What was it?
And it was for I know this commercial by heart. And this is almost 30 years later.
877 cash now.
Like,
oh
no, no, it's alone. Need a new friend? Or simply wanting to talk personally, one-on-one. Caring and fun-loving people just like me are waiting 24 hours a day for your call. If you're down, we'll bring you up. Or just call for the fun of it. There's no gab line hassles or shouting. It's just you and me together. Call now. 1-900-454-1661.
Oh, my God.
And I'm not even kidding. I have known that by heart for close to 30 years.
Oh, my God.
And I know, Jamie, and I could tell you didn't just read that either. Wow.
Absolutely not.
Wow.
Man, I'm going to call it right now, actually. You sold me.
It might still be around. I don't know. They had enough damn commercials back then.
Listen, if Dave Mustaine still has his number up, that one is up as well.
Yeah. So, when the family's doing this commercial, how about when even Buck turns away?
That's great.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
And they did it, so.
Time's up, Bundy.
Please call. Please call. Let's wrap. You want somebody dead? I'll kill him. Please call. That number again is...
This is what you did with my $50,000?
This is another satisfied customer. You can't be too. Please call me.
It's time for No Ma'am to take a little break in the Jiggly Room. I'm the DJ, and I'm gonna play a little bit of music that was on this week's episode of Married with Children.
bubbles. Make me warm all over with a feeling that I'm gonna love you till the end of time. So here's to the golden moon.
Hey, Peg. I thought you were going to meet us down at the courthouse.
Oh, was that today? Oh, there it is. Right there in black and white. Al's sentencing. Well, I'll just have to make the next one. So how was it?
Oh, it was so cool. The judge laughed at Daddy, and then he got serious, so he yelled at him, and then he laughed at him again, and then everybody started laughing at Daddy. It was so...
I can't believe I missed it.
Oh, it was great. The trial had everything. Crime, that was Mr. Rhodes. He lost his job, you know. And then...
Steve lost his job at the bank. That is like a major, major deal. His entire character, his whole Mercedes driving, I'm better than you, rich guy lifestyle is permanently over forever.
Mm-hmm.
From here, even when he leaves the show and comes back, he never has great jobs. So that is over.
Which is wild because I remember that about him, but I never realized that Al was the reason.
Yeah.
That Al basically ruined his life. I mean, he did it himself. This is a decision he made, but that, you know, Al was the crux of it.
Yeah, Al knew this would happen and didn't care. Like, Steve obviously must have told him when he was glued to his couch for how many days, you know? Like, I'll lose my job if this doesn't... So Al knew this. And he could have just saved Steve's job and had Marcy bury the bad loan, but instead, he just didn't care. Like, this is way beyond jokes. This is like traumatic stuff.
This is life-altering decisions, yeah.
And it all stems from a trip to Hawaii. Imagine that.
Yeah, they're always going.
Have just bought a trip to Hawaii.
Right. Exactly. That's why. Yeah, I don't know. I also didn't realize too how much loan officers made. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, is that like a good job? Like, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. So it's just crazy to think about this. So this is probably the true beginning of Steve's departure. This is where everything starts just really.
It's the beginning of the end, yeah.
Yeah, like you see his flaws in the relationship with Marcy in the last few episodes, and definitely this one with the service me and all that. But man, yeah, this is the beginning of the end.
So you think that stunned look on his face is really wow? That's like important. He was like really going through some stuff, huh?
Oh yeah. Yep.
There was an honest-to-goodness fit. That was Mrs. Rhodes. She got demoted to drive-up window teller.
Marcy was demoted to drive-up window teller, like Jamie mentioned earlier. I guess she couldn't bury one bad loan. But like I said, I really think that when everything got, like, spread out in court and they figured what the moves everybody made were, they're like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
That's not a regular loan. You're, like, doing activity you should not be what's that called, proprietoring our money or whatever with
yeah, don't look at me for big words, Alex.
Okay.
Okay.
So
after 6 years you should know better.
I'm sorry. Did you guys ever take out a loan from a bank?
Yes.
You have, really?
Service Credit Union, yo.
No, not directly. I've never actually physically walked into a bank and taken out a loan. No.
The most I've ever done was I borrowed money from the credit union because they give really great interest rates.
Right.
For vehicles. I'm currently doing it now, and I did it back in like 2007.
That's what I did. Yep.
Yeah, and I did actually borrow money against my own 401k. I needed like a ton of money for something, and that's your own money, and you pay yourself back.
You can borrow your own money.
And then Daddy and the judge and a whole bunch of lawyers went into this chamber. Bring it home, Daddy.
Well, after the lawyers got done going, hey, did you check out the blonde bimbo in the red Mini?
That was me.
Anyhow, then we finally got down to business. I begged for the death penalty, but they insisted that I learn a lesson. So to pay back the $100,000 I owe, the banks agreed to extend my mortgage for a couple of years.
How many?
Oh, 100. So by the year 2157, we'll have the second one paid off. Then I can retire.
No, Dad. Then you start paying off your parking tickets.
Hey, how the hell did they find out about that anyway?
Gee, it must have been that darn Steve.
How'd they know about that, by the way?
Yeah, you almost forget about the park. They come back around right at the end.
Must be that darn Steve.
Aw, but come on, buck up, honey. Don't worry. I'll always be your Mrs. Shoe.
And we'll always be your little shoes.
Shoe betcha.
So you haven't lost any more respect for me?
Oh, now that would be impossible, wouldn't it, kids? I mean, honey, you lost $100,000. How many men who earn less than a fry cook can say they lost $100,000?
Fry cook? Dad makes less than a newspaper boy.
A street mime.
The guy who scrapes dead animals off the highway.
A lab animal.
A circus geek. A barnacle scraper.
A professional miniature golfer.
A qualified teacher.
Which the qualified teacher one is hilarious, and it's under the music, so you almost missed that joke, which is sad because it's the funniest one. But I like that they slip it in there, and it's from Kelly.
Kelly, yeah.
But guy who scrapes dead animals off the highway, that's a city job. He makes good money.
Right.
And there was another one that fry cooks make really good money. So not, not like if you work at McDonald's necessarily. I don't know how much they make. But the cooks at the diners around here, they make like $18 an hour.
You can make 15 to 18 for sure. Easily. Yeah. Yep.
So, and that's just like the diner job. That's not even, I mean, I guess that would be a fry cook. But Al surely doesn't make that much.
Oh, no.
And I do love, though, how they go out swinging in this episode. Like, they just keep firing the jokes even after the credits are rolling. That was great. I was like, oh, man, they're just going to keep going with this until it fades out. Perfect.
They have so much material, we can't even stop before credit.
Exactly.
All right, guys, you ready to rate this episode after this little break?
Shoe betcha.
No, ma'am. We'll be right back to wrap up this week's review. Be sure to join their Facebook group page for all the podcast news and updates. Be sure to subscribe to them on the Apple Podcast app, and please leave a review telling them what you think of the show. To subscribe to their YouTube channel, just go to channels and search up Married with Children podcast. Now they're available on the TV Time app. Go to your app store and type in TV Time. Join their Patreon and support your favorite podcasts with a small monthly donation. You can email them at marriedwchildrenpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for checking out this review. Now Dan, Jamie, and Alex are going to give their final thoughts on this week's episode.
Wow, yes. And guys, we are on Instagram now, so follow us on Instagram. It's a new thing. You won't believe what we put in there. So
I'm going to guess it's going to be pictures of hot chicks.
Pretty much, yeah. It's about all we can come up with.
That's all we got, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, we're not that imaginative.
Have you had an episode where you didn't have a hot chick to put?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Hey, Alex was like, there was one.
And when that happens, we'll just use Kelly.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. We're not going to go without anything for a full week. I mean, what do you think we are?
Right, animals.
How many credit cards are we cutting up for this episode, Jamie?
Well, I really do like this episode, and I know I said that it had a low point, and that's just it. It's just a low point of this episode, but it's still not bad. I think this episode overall is very funny. I'm going to say 4.5. Can I do 0.5s?
Yeah.
We do 0.5s.
Sure can, Jamie.
Yeah. I'll do a 4.5. I'm just knocking it down a little bit just because I think the commercials could have been funnier. Although they do get a little extra credit for that Don Ho reference with Steve's tiny bubbles up your nose because he's going to Hawaii. So they slipped in a little Don Ho reference that I don't know if people today would necessarily catch.
That's a song, and he said tiny bubbles up your nose for a Hawaii song?
Well, Don Ho is Hawaiian, and he is he's a Hawaiian entertainer, and he has a song called Tiny Bubbles. So when he beats Swenson, at the lone contest, he turns to Swenson and says, "Tiny bubbles up your nose," because, he's going to Hawaii. Right. So he thinks.
Nice catch. So what's the rating again? Oh, 4.5?
4.5.
Credit cards. I'm chopping up.
4.5 credit cards. So she's cutting one credit card in half and giving it back.
Yeah, they can use it every other day of the week.
Oh, okay. So, Dan, how many credit cards are you cutting up for this episode 976 Shoe?
Man, I keep every episode. They're all so good so far. I'd give it a solid 4 cut-up credit cards out of 5. I do agree with Jamie that the ads there were funny, but I feel like they maybe possibly could have been funnier. That was the room for improvement right there. So 4 cut-up credit cards out of 5. How about you, Alex?
I definitely see where you guys are coming from. I suppose that, yeah, they definitely could have been stronger. That's true. But for some reason, it never made, the overall walk-away feeling from the episode to me is that I love this. And, I guess those little things, although technically in a rating I would probably have a little lower, I still have to give it a 5 out of 5 because I love the episode. It's just a great one to me. I love the introduction of Officer Dan. I love Al going through bills and Kelly's iconic hang up after the first minute and call back. That is incredible to me. And then
that was good.
Al coming up with a stupid idea. I love the whole scene in the bank where he just gives them the loan to beat the guy. And then all of a sudden, we get a real storyline about Steve could lose his job. Now we got some real stakes on this episode.
Right.
And the commercials, Al being the most bizarre, goofy, creepy guy ever. And then the hot chick, Muffy, and then the failing and the doorbell rings. He's pick up, hey, that was the doorbell, Al. Well, then go get it. I'm on the phone. I don't know. It just seems like such strong writing everywhere else. And I do think that the commercials, for the majority, have strong writing. And it was funny to say, well, let's add a bad actress in here. That's a great thing to throw in. Let's throw in every little cliche that for these horrible commercials, And even the corniness of Al having the phone number on the bottom of his shoes. Everything about it. And then Al keep on making more and more commercials. All right, you guys don't care, so let's cut the crap. He goes, we're starving or whatever it is,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that's all great and it's funny, and you don't really see episodes like this from anywhere else. So, to me, it's just an iconic, classic, great season 4 episode that I love. So, like I said, I'm going to get repetitive, but I will give it a 5 out of 5, despite the tad few seconds of not so strong writing in the commercials. Yeah, great season. I'm having a blast. I knew that we would in the golden years, and it's great to revamp the show like we did, and it's all great timing.
Yep.
Good time.
Officer Dan.
Officer Dan, yeah, you were here for his intro, man.
That's weird.
So, next episode that we are reviewing next week is Oh, What a Feeling. After Al's car breaks down, he's shocked to discover Peggy has squandered his secret nest egg.